Alright, video for the Right to Die channel. I'm going to do some recording, some macro stuff while I'm doing this. But anyway, yeah, it's going to be for the debate page also. And yeah, just kind of starting a conversation, if possible, on the subject of the right to die and the fact that there can be reasonable social policy that protects everybody's interests, creates whatever balance there needs to be between all these different social interests and personal interests and the rest of it. In other words, there is a solution that really can't be argued against by anything other than somebody who just wants to tell other people what they must value, and they don't want somebody else to offend their God, basically. That's what it comes down to. And they're going to impose their will on other people. And that's it. There's no other explanation required. That's exactly what they're up to. So if they're against it, they can only be against it because they're a tyrant. Yeah, the end. So anyway. Yeah, the idea is basically that we could have a living will, that a person would be obliged to establish at whatever age of consent is decided upon. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, it was 21 or 18, whatever, doesn't really matter, and that they would assign in that will two other individuals to be their authorized representative, and would basically exist for the purpose of protecting a person's interests in case there was some doubt about their competency. So these two extra people would basically be a protection against somebody deciding to do something that was completely aberrant to what is known to be their values, in some moment of even drunkenness, some moment of despair or desolation because of some circumstance. And so we would eliminate the risk of any person being in some sort of temporary condition that enabled them to seek purpose or usefulness in ending their life when that would not have been consistent with their value system, or what was known to be their values. So yeah, so it basically also protects individuals who would argue that there's some pressure or something by the system for them to do the right thing and not be a burden on society. And that sort of nonsensical argument is disposed of because the decision now is moved to these other parties, where they have an equal say in what is going to take place or what somebody's going to be allowed to do. So say, for example, a person in a compromised position who might be pressured to quit being a burden. Yeah, there would be two people there to protect them by basically just stating that this person's valuable, and they can't be allowed to kill themselves. So there's no way there would be any way for the pressure to ever turn into any kind of action, because there would be people there to basically say what the other person feels intimidated out of being able to say, which is, I want to live, and even if I'm a little bit impractical, I feel entitled to the resources necessary to keep me alive, that kind of thing. So anyway, yeah, it just doesn't have to be very complicated. It's the solutions to a lot of problems are pretty simple. And this is one of those problems. It's just a simple solution. You just spread the decision power over more than one person. You protect the vulnerable, and you empower people to act on their judgment without this presumption always existing that anybody who might find life less than sufficient to be somebody whose judgment who can't be trusted merely because they have the opinion that life wasn't created by a God, that it doesn't have a divine purpose, that it is not fulfilling some sort of necessary functionality, and that they just really aren't going to be able to practically, uh, satisfy the minimum equation of getting enough value out of it to be worth what suffering or pain they might have to endure to survive it. Likewise, it also gives the liberty to people to make their own decisions when it comes to their mortality, when it comes to the final months or weeks or years of their life, how much they were going to invest in those final days, and which days are going to be qualitatively adequate to their purpose, so there can be great efficiency in just allowing people to make a decision and to expedite that decision, again, without this presumption that they need to qualify their opinion, that they need to qualify their state of mind. The people who will qualify their state of mind are these assigned representatives who will essentially vouch for the fact that this decision is completely consistent with this person's values and what they have for the entirety of their life expressed as their desire. The little simple, there's lots of little details you have to add in, like how can you change your representatives and how long, like it have to be a year waiting period. You'd have to request a change a year ahead of time, that kind of thing. All the lots of little nitpicky details, but the basic function of the formula, I think, is pretty much indestructible as a solution to any of the complaints that can be raised about how having the liberty to act on our own judgment, to invest our own welfare in our own judgment, can be satisfied with a living will that can also include, by the way, provision, an expression that would be part of the contract that, if you produce children, you're going to be responsible for their welfare, and if you are going to avail yourself of a right to an expedient exit, that there's going to have to be a means for a provision for their maintenance and care. So anyway, I should have thrown that one in. But anyway, it's just a contract, and through a solid, reasonable, rational, direct contract, we can protect all the interests that need protection, and we can allow people their right to their liberty. And that's really what it's about. People should have the liberty to make their life as efficient in how they live it as possible, and this arbitrary complete destruction of any right or liberty when it comes to managing the quality of our death is just one of the most obscene wastes that takes place in our society. I mean, there's no more wasted suffering than the wasted suffering of pointless extra days of dying. Days somebody doesn't want to endure, days there's no incentive for investing in, days for which society will gain no benefit from. It's just a sick, sadistic torture. It's ludicrous and imbecilic and nonsensical, and there needs to be a solution. And if a solution even protects against 80% of any liabilities, it's a solution worth having. And I would argue that the solution can be pretty much 99% capable of protecting against any real vulnerabilities of any real harm taking place to any real interest. So, that's enough. Didn't do any videoing. This cat says hello. Well, I think it says hello. Now it's saying hello. You got a leaky eye. Why is your eye leaking? Got a little allergy or something? Yes. Cat. Anyway. See, when it's his time, he should go gracefully. No extra suffering. No silly nonsense for nothing. Most precious thing in the world is suffering. Not to value it is depraved. That's simple. It's depraved. Anyway, till next time.